The following subjects and topics discussed here in the De La Fit podcast should not be attempted without professional supervision or information and guidance. We do not encourage anyone to just do things without proper professional guidance and knowledge. With that being said, please enjoy the show.
To the De La Fit podcasts, 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast.
Salutations and proclamations. It is I, it is you, it is us, it is we. Together we make up the digital family that is the De La Fit podcast. I'm your host, Philly's number one son, aka the body alchemist, Sun Moon Bay, welcoming you to another podcast excursion. Happy Friday to all. I hope you are doing quite well, and thank you for tuning in to the De La Fit podcast and joining us to be part of our family. Have an interesting show for you, have an interesting guest, but before we get to that, just want to do a little conversation. So I had to take I didn't have to, but I took a training. For those of you who know some of what I do, I am a physical trainer. I also work as a literacy and youth mentor out of one of the many libraries here in the Philadelphia region. And part of what we do is we get trained in a variety of aspects to help us facilitate the youth that we work with. It is enlightening and immensely enjoyable work. I like working with the youth. I feel that when you are doing things to help inspire and motivate the youth, you're doing things to help solve the problems of the future. I also feel when you invest in the youth, you're investing in your future, in humanity's future, actually, quite clearly. So for me, it is quite rewarding to do what it is I do in both scales, whether I'm doing physical training or whether I am spending time working with the youth, because both to me are greatly rewarding. It's nothing like seeing individuals transform themselves and feel confident and feel fit and feel just good about themselves, their self-esteem soaring. It's a beautiful thing. So part of what we do and how we maintain our skills is we are lucky and blessed to have good supervisors as well as individuals who are always looking to help aid in the program. And they're always looking for individuals who can come in and train us and help sharpen our skills and our abilities to work with the youth. So I was really excited for this training, which was basically about spotting trauma in the individual. And purposely, the goal for me is to, one, learn how to spot trauma in a young person or a teen, and to, for the limited amount of time that I'm there, try to help them, if I can, navigate around the feelings or the issue for the limited amount of time that I have, and help them focus on something more positive. That's how I see it. Might not be actually reasonable, but for the limited time that I'm with them, this is what I try to do. And I take all these trainings greatly seriously when it comes to that. Some are more serious than others, but the serious ones I take them immensely seriously, because from my journey, just my journey to progress and become better and more proficient and learn more about myself, and also to better my own fitness, becoming a personal trainer, I found out deeply how much trauma plagues us. Trauma is it is almost like the air we breathe. And it's unfortunate because I feel that so many of us are hit with trauma that a lot of us aren't even familiar or have the tools to know that we are living with trauma. Not only are we living with trauma, that we have went through trauma, and that some of us go through trauma on a daily basis. And there's degrees of this, but I just think about certain things and certain individuals I knew growing up, or certain things I've been through, or certain situations I've seen or dealt with. And I'm very fortunate. Very fortunate that I had the type of individuals that I had in my life as parents. I'm very fortunate that I had the type of mentors that I had, and that just a lot. I've been very fortunate, but I've known personally individuals who weren't as fortunate, and before I get off on the tangent, I'm going to try to take myself back. And I'm just gonna say that I'm really fortunate to be able to sit in these trainings and learn. So, not gonna go and bore you all with all the details of everything that we were learning, but I did think that there were some interesting factors that we did learn dealing with the training, and some of them was just I like how the trainer was basically telling us, he started us dealing with actualities, in a sense of learning that words have a specific meaning, which I was always taught. It was something I had been taught for years, is words have meanings. A lot of people try to transmute words and change words and degrade words, but one thing I was always taught is that these words have meanings, and these words don't come about by accident. So one of the things he told us, he said, I want you to turn around to the people at your desk, talk to them, and tell them how you're feeling, what your goal is for today, and what your goal is basically how you plan on using the tools that you are going to be using. And the one thing he said was, you can't use the words good, fine. He said, because those really don't mean anything. Now, again, I've been taught and do believe words have meanings, but I understood what he was saying. What he was greatly saying is that, from what I understand, we can blouse things over very nicely with I'm good. What is good? What is that? How does that actually define what it is that you are feeling or acting out? So I guess in one way, to be specific, I could say something like, I'm feeling like I'm doing a lot of good, but he wanted more of the specific action. So I could recognize this, and I thought it was cool. So, we all turned around and we started talking. And I did like how he got us down to the fact of basically focus in on the communication. Be specific in your wording. And that was something I really appreciated, because I've been known to do this myself. I've been known to say, I'm alright. And people ask me, like, how you feeling today? I'm like, I'm alright. knowing I don't feel all right, knowing I'm not good. It's just an easy way to blouse over it. And the fact of the trainer actually having us do this kind of, and his purpose was, he said, I want you to get down to the actual specifics, discuss it. That's how you start to peel back these layers. And I was very appreciative of that factor, because I think that was a good way to start, at least for me, to begin to really focus in on feelings. And I know that's like a dreaded word, as like a dreaded word for some of us out there, maybe some of us men out there, but it was really good, because what I'm learning, and I continuously would like to think, is that, as I continue to learn, that communication is something that you must practice. You have to practice it. And it's funny because, we spend so much time talking about, need to communicate. Communication involves so much. It involves so much, at least from my point of view, because it's easy to say you're communicating and you're talking like I'm talking now. I'm talking and people are listening. It's easy to do that. It's hard to truly, at times, really listen. And I know for me, it's hard to truly listen because of certain situations I've been in, and I know that it depends on what the person is saying, what I truly hear, which was something else that the trainer talked about. He was like, it's important to really, and I'm going to use my own words, it's really important to practice, and here's the key word, mindfulness. What did I say earlier in the previous podcast? The words for 2019 would be, which is mindfulness and progression. And it keeps coming up. So I know this is the right path, because the trainer is like really talking about, he says it's important to be mindful, focus, really understand, because if not, even while you're in the process of trying to help a person to get to a better place, help a person who is dealing with a trauma get to a better place, that can take you to a place, And he made a statement, and I had to laugh, because he was saying, he said, just like you might have that teenager that comes in, or that child that comes in and says something to you that hits you right in that spot, and they don't know it, at first, but it hits you right in that spot, and it takes you back to a trauma that you had. You have to focus. You have to really understand, and you have to really be mindful of what's going on, and then be able to calm yourself down, to focus. And I thought it was perfect. I thought that was a perfect moment, because I was like, wow, everything I've been dealing with in the last few months of 2018 all the way up to 2019 into 2019 is going in that direction of mindfulness. And it's so important. I say this every episode that we have talked about mindfulness. It is important, and I think it's a blessing that I'm being reminded by this, because it's kind of, for me, reinforcing, what is so important about it. Because I remember, it's funny, just like I said, he was, as I was talking before, and he's making the statement about, a child or a teen can make a statement and send you back to a trauma. That took place the day before this training. A young girl, she said to me, and it was funny, we were just kind of talking, but she was like, I was asking her what she wanted to be as she gets older, and she was like, I don't know, I want to be either a fashion designer or a singer. I said, oh man, that's awesome. So as we're having this conversation, she said, what did you want to be? I said, well, I'm actually doing what I wanted to, kind of what I wanted to be. I'm helping people and things like that. And she said something to the effect, she was just like, yeah, but you're not famous. So, be playing and, having conversation. I said, how do you know I'm not famous? And then she said, because you're too old to be famous. You can't be famous after a certain age. And I knew she was joking. I knew she was playing with me. But the fact that she made that statement, it sent me back to a painful place in my life. And the painful place was that I had somebody I greatly loved say to me at one point, and I probably have shared this, I don't know if I have or not, but I never forget, I had somebody I greatly was in love with tell me that they thought I was too old for potential. And I'll never forget how painful that was. Because one thing I will share about me is that growing up, I grew up very differently in North Philly. I've come from a different culture. I am a young man who is Moorish. For those that I am of Moroccan descent, born in the United States, grew up Muslim. Diet-wise, I've always been came from a pescatarian family. Ended up being vegan. My name is Sun Moon. I've had a lot of differences about me, things like that. Just tell you, at first glance, I could probably blend into my neighborhood, and then when people really got to know me, they were like, "Who is this weirdo?" But the thing of it was that everything I really wanted to do, I always had individuals outside of my family, outside of my immediate family, always tell me that it was impossible for me to do it. And that used to always burn me up. I don't know, some of you out there might listen to hip hop music, but the Fresh Prince had on one of his songs, I think it was Brand New Funk, he said, I really, 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 really hate when people doubt on my ability and I'm forced to prove my superiority. While I don't feel superior, that has always been something that I was plagued with. And it always bothered me that somebody felt that they could look at me and say what I was supposed to be. That even right now talking about it, it fills me with a sense of aggression and disgust. How dare you? And then to have somebody who I was in a deep relationship with, a young woman I wanted to marry, tell me, that, hey, I think you're just too old for potential. That was one of the most hurtful things I had heard from somebody who said they loved me at that time. The positives of it was that it helped to partially be a motivator. Or I won't say a motivator, an inspiration to continue, to progress, to push, and to really dig into myself. Not retreat, but really look inside. So as I did that, it did inspire me, but it was funny. I'm like, now here's this little girl who I obviously know is playing, but the moment she made that statement, you're too old for this, it was like I heard it again. And I think it's just those feelings I have for when people would tell me I couldn't. You're not intelligent enough. You can't do this. And I used to, it drives me, like I said, and I don't know if you could tell, but right now, just the thought of it drives me. Somebody daring me that I can't, and it's just one of those feelings. So it's a feeling that makes me feel as though, I don't know how to feel it. It just makes me feel like, no, I'm going to prove you wrong. It's like being a rocket. It's like, oh, really? Okay, watch this. Watch me break everything apart and succeed. And with that being said, to go back to tie this all together, to what the instructor of the workshop was saying, basically it connected, and I was like, wow, you're right. You have to be mindful at all times, not just when you're dealing with children or teens. You have to be mindful when you're dealing with human beings, because trauma, in a sense, I feel, at least in this Western world that we live in, this world we live in at this moment, trauma is like air. It's all around. And you don't know who and how a person is affected. You don't know what words will trigger a person. So the best thing you can be is mindful and be also genuine and sincere. And try to communicate as best as possible. So I just wanted to share that tidbit with everybody. Going a little bit past my intro that I like to do, but hey, that's all right. The De La Fit podcast, we're all about one thing: the each one teach one, and the each one teach one, and the village, which is, it takes a village to raise a child. And I always said, we, you, me, we're somebody's child, which makes us all potentially brothers and sisters. So to get into this, I've got a great guest who's going to talk about some amazing things that he's doing, some awesome rebel building, kicking, punching through walls when it comes into the conventionalities of what you're supposed to do as far as fitness. So this is going to be great. I'm going to be talking to Scott Stansfield. And let me tell you something. I feel like I've found almost a kindred spirit in Scott. Every time we've talked, we always go over a time limit, but I think that this is going to be just a great episode. And I can't wait for him to come and talk and share some of his information, some of his adventures of who he is, how he started his fitness journey, and just some of the things he's learned for himself. So we're going to get right into that. I'm going to get off of this, get ready to get into the interview. As always, you're here, you're home. Kick your feet up, grab the biscuits, grab some tea, grab some coffee, grab some hot cocoa, whatever it is that's going to make you comfortable. Hey, if you just got into the Uber, hey, say what's up to the driver, sit back, relax, hey, or maybe you're home, maybe you're at work sneaking this and your boss is over there looking at you and you don't want to get caught. Whatever it is, I hope that you enjoy this podcast, and remember 100% you're home with the De La Fit podcast. Let's go. Let's do it.
You're now tuned into the De La Fit podcast.
De La Fit podcast is now available on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play Music.
Hey, you, with the earbuds in their ear. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? When I was trying to get my podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcasts. I like to upload my episodes directly to the app and then promote. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it. Go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
It's time for another podcast excursion. Join us. We are the Della Fit Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Della Fit Podcast. I have a special guest with me. All right, I have Mr. Scott Stansfield. Did I pronounce your last name correctly, sir?
Stansfield, Stansfield.
All right. How you doing today, Scott? Is it all right if I just call you Scott?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. All right. So, as we were talking before we actually started recording, Scott, you have an interesting bio. And in my experience, every time I see somebody with a very unique, outstanding bio, I know the interview is going to be amazing. So I threw out everything. I threw out all the standardized questions, how we're going to do it. And I said, we're just going to have a fitness bro conversation. All right. And we're going to start out. I want you to tell the individuals out there about how you began your fitness journey.
Well, before I get there, I just want to say thank you for having me on. It's such an honor. I have so much gratitude for being here and being able to share my journey with you. But it started 15 years ago. My dad, age 55, got prostate cancer, and it floored me. I was 31 years old, and, it was like, wow. His dad, my grandfather, got cancer and passed away at the age of 62. Now, back up, my dad just turned 70 back on Labor Day weekend, so we celebrated that. I actually drove cross country, like the whole family. We did to celebrate his birthday. 3 years after that, my mom got cancer, uterine cancer. Both of them had to go through chemo. Both of them had to have the cancer cut out. So at age 55, about both of mid-50s, my parents had surgery for cancer. Now, at all at the same time this is happening, my uncle, so by marriage, so my dad's sister's husband got cancer within the same month as my dad, but they didn't get it all. He was 60 and a couple months old when he passed away, and that was about 14 years, about 10, 12 years ago.
Wow.
That happened. So he had contracted cancer at the same time as my dad, went through the same chemo, had surgery, but then passed away. Then my dad's two best friends both got cancer. One was prostate, one was colon cancer, and they both passed away.
Jeez.
And here I am. I'm 40 pounds overweight. I'm eating the same thing as they are, but I'm like going, this is not just genetics. This is lifestyle. Now, I'm from South Carolina.
Okay.
It's not like I'm born and raised in Columbia, South Carolina. So it's not like this is a picture of health. The vegetables are like cooked to death in bacon fat, and there's all this other stuff that's going on, and like it's not like the picture of like the healthiest diet on the planet. The southern version of the standard American diet. And I was like, I look at it and I said this: I can control what I put in my body. I can control what I put on my body. I can control the air I breathe. So let's start there, because it's not just genetics.
Right.
Now, down the road, probably 10 years later, I mentioned something about genetics, like it's in my genetics.
Mm-hmm.
And the company I was working for at the time, the CEO, I mentioned it to him, and he said, it's not genetics, it's genetic expression. And he sent me a video on YouTube by Bruce Lipton. And what Bruce Lipton, I watched this video, is really cool, because what happens is that you can take the same stem cells and put them in two different environments, and one of them will grow healthy and the other one will grow cancer. Right?
Wow.
So
Okay.
It's not about the genetics that you've been given, the DNA. It's about the environment you put them in. So think about, like me, I'm speaking like regionally and culturally, the diet of how, and so everybody in that, most everybody is eating the same thing, the same pulled pork, the same green beans, the same grits for breakfast. the same beer, steak for dinner, burgers, all these different things, right?
Right,
They're
right.
eating all those same things. So that area has a very specific genetic expression, right? It
Right.
also, hereditary diseases are because you learn how to eat and live and handle stress and how you make your money, how hard you work, your work ethic. You learn that from your family, passed down generation after generation after generation. So you're actually causing the genes in your own body to be, that's what's
Wow.
being passed down. That's what's being
Right.
passed down, right? So I have not lived in South Carolina for 16 years, and that's allowed me to realize that I can change the environment in which my genes are and express them in a different way. So that's what started for me. So I was vegetarian, pescatarian, vegetarian for 10 years. I married a New Yorker, and she was that way for 35 years. So vegetarian.
Right.
Kind of like the Pulp Fiction quote, right? I'm not a vegetarian, but my girlfriend is, so it
Right.
kind of makes me one. Right, that's what happened. So here you got a guy that's born and raised in South Carolina, son of a truck driver. My mom's was a lunch lady for 28 years, and now I'm married to a New Yorker, and I'm a vegetarian. I just got my redneck card revoked. Right? That's what happened, right?
Right.
And then so that was the first place I started. It was like in my diet. But then what I realized is that it was a progression. So, you think I'm 15 years down this road, and I'm intermittent fasting, I'm ketogenic, I'm like organic and clean eating, grass-fed beef, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And people are just like struggling to actually like go low carb for like a week, right? Without having a cheat day. So I have a lot of empathy and understanding for where they are, because that's where I was 15 years ago. So I was so making these changes, habitual changes in how you eat and you live, and those things are some tough roads to hoe in a way. So anyway, as I was going down this road, vegetarian for 10 years, I actually started migrating to being what I'd classify as almost vegan.
Right.
And I literally started bonking. You would not believe, it did not work for me at all. And
I can actually believe that. Just to let you know, I'm vegan, and that's a popular myth. A lot of people think they're gonna drop weight. I actually picked up 10 extra pounds. So a lot of people don't know that.
Well, here's the thing, right? In this process over the last 15, I started out this process 40 pounds overweight. I lost it by doing P90X.
Okay.
This was about 11 years ago. I lost all. I got down. I'm about 5'10", and I got down to 157 pounds by doing P90X.
Okay.
It worked. It completely worked. But
Mm-hmm.
P90X is 9 hours a week. How can
Right.
you be a director of food and beverage, have 2 kids, a wife, and commute to work, right? And
Right.
still have 9 hours a week to devote to working out? That's not good balance. That's a 90-day sprint to transform your body.
Right.
So what happened was, when I stopped doing P90X, I slowly gained the weight back, and so here I am, vegetarian. I'm a 40-pound overweight fat vegetarian.
Right.
Right. I'm a firm believer it's easier to be an unhealthy vegetarian than it is to be an unhealthy meat eater, because you're struggling with getting the right macronutrient mix, which we call those macronutrients. I think they're more micronutrients, and we can get into that later, what I think about, what my term is, what I classify myself as, a modern longevitarian.
Okay.
And how I got into that. But I think food is a macronutrient, but carbs, protein, and fat are micronutrients. So we'll get to that later if you want to ask me about that. But my point being is that I'm 40 pounds overweight, and here I am. I'm working in a hospital. I'm a director of food and beverage, and I've been in the food industry now for 25 years. I'm 46 years old, and I've never felt better in my life, other than maybe when I was like 12, right? When you could, when you could drink motor oil, sleep on concrete, get up and not be sore the next day.
Right.
Yeah. But as an adult, I feel the best I ever have, and it's just absolutely amazing to keep crushing it on this level, and watching people my age kind of like trying to like downshift into their later years, and I'm like going, hey, this is prime time, babe. Let's just keep moving.
Right.
Let's keep going. Yeah, and because there was the old saying, the only hinges that grow rust are the ones the doors you don't open, right? So
That's
you
true.
got to keep everything moving so there won't be rust on the hinges, right?
That's
But
true.
anyway, so I'm working at a hospital. I'm a director of food and beverage, and I got 2 dietitians that report to me, and they're of course sticking to what the Dietetic Association has. And I was turning 40. I was 39. I'm like, well, my insurance has this well visit, so let me go to the doctor, get a checkup. And so I go to the doctor, get a checkup, and I'm thinking I'm just going to crush it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little overweight. My scale at home says I'm about 183.
Mm-hmm.
Unbeknownst to me, the scale of the doctor was calibrated, and it said I weighed 201 pounds, and I'm just about 5'10".
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And
wow.
I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
So just remember, I was at 157 after doing P90X at 35, and at 39 and almost 40, I'm 201.
Okay.
And I'm a vegetarian, so now I'm confused.
Right. Of course.
So somebody has sent me an email with this diet book. There's a PDF, so it's like totally illegal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably need to go buy one just so I can be legit, because I'm going to tell you which one it is.
Okay.
It's the Warrior Diet. The Warrior Diet.
Okay.
And this is like the grandfather to intermittent fasting, really. All right. And it basically is a 20-hour underfeeding phase with a 4-hour overfeeding phase, and it mimics what was supposed to be the story is of this like Roman Greco style, where they would like pack up their gear and they would walk all day long and they would undereat, and then they would get to camp and then they would build a big feast and they ate one meal a day.
Right.
And so here I had already started doing P90X again, and I lost about 10 pounds over like the first month, right? Which is not bad,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the first week I started intermittent fasting, I lost 7 pounds.
Okay.
So
right.
I lost the last 30 pounds by doing less workout and controlling my diet by intermittent fasting. So what you're doing is you're going into ketosis for a little bit every day. You're at a calorie deficit that part of the day,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then you're replenishing it and you're eating one time. So the eating protocol with this is start with your raw vegetables and raw vegetables like salad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have cooked meats and vegetables, and carbs only if you need them. So you're playing with this, getting into ketosis every day somewhere like midday and mid-afternoon before you have dinner somewhere at night. And so that's what you're doing. That's how that really works with this 20-hour fasting phase and this, and this was 6 years ago. So I'm like the godfather of intermittent fasting for everybody I run across. Like now you look at people on Instagram and all these other things, and they've been intermittent fasting since August, and they feel like they're like found this new thing. And I'm like, I've been doing it for 6 years.
Right.
Yeah. And it's been like the single key that's been able to help me, really maintain a good weight and energy levels and because my schedule changes. Like some days I work breakfast, some days I close the bar, some days I work mids, sometimes I work 6 or 7 days a week,
Right.
And it's like, so my eating schedule was relatively the same, and the only thing that changes is when I get out of bed and when I get up and all those things, and I'm able to maintain my energy, and I don't get sick near as much as I used to. I get sick like once a year now versus like 6 or 7 times a year. It's just absolutely amazing. So intermittent fasting was 6 years ago was a huge thing for me, but I also was at the time still kind of like in this vegetarian phase and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then my wife stumbled across this book about cured tooth decay.
Okay.
And you can actually heal your teeth. We've actually healed my daughter's cavities, right? So my daughter was 4 years old at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and the doctor wanted to put her under, like give her anesthesia.
Okay.
For my 4-year-old to put a root canal on her baby tooth, right?
Right.
Why would a baby tooth? Why would you do it on a baby tooth, right? You're going to pull that out anyway, right?
Exactly.
So my wife found this book about curing tooth decay, and it's based off the Weston A. Price diet. Weston A. Price was a researcher for what's now the American Dental Association back in the 20s and 30s, and did some amazing research where he was traveling around the world, looking at like Aboriginal tribes and what their diets were, or and comparing like same generation, like brothers and sisters, that like one would stay in the village in Switzerland eating a traditional diet with like grass-fed butter from fast-growing, grass, off the snow melt. But yet the brother went to the big city and was eating like flour and modern diet like we eat now.
Right.
And the brother that stayed in the village had no dental caries, and the one that went to the big city had cavities all over the place.
Wow.
Right.
Right.
Or even that there was this one town in like McKinley, Texas, that everybody in town drank raw milk from this one farm, and there was nobody in the whole town had a cavity at all. Right. So
Okay.
we started adding healthy, clean meats back to our diet at that point. So even now, my wife and daughter they're really big animal lovers. In their last 6 months, have kind of migrated over more to being a little bit more vegetarian.
Okay.
But my daughter will still eat some really cool Creminelli prosciutto without you knowing about it, right? So she's still she still loves eating meat every now and again. But my point is that we added meat back to our diet, and we found that it's been a lot easier for us to maintain our weight and to be healthier in that way. And then so here's the deal, another kind of two pieces of the puzzle, and then you can ask me any questions at this point. But about three years ago this month, I was working. It was really late. It was like, and at the time I was in Park City, Utah, and it was like Sundance weekend or something. I was really busy, and I was like running a hot bath and like Epsom salt bath because I was really sore, and I was like, I want to listen to a podcast, and I was listening to Tim Ferriss at the time, but it's like all this stuff is so long. I won't be up for 2 hours. I don't want to listen to this. So I scrolled through, and I found one that was like 54 minutes long, and it was Wim Hof the Iceman. I had no idea what this was. Now here I am. I live at 7,000 feet, 150 inches snow a year, and I'm taking a hot bath, and I'm going to listen to a podcast about the Iceman.
Right.
From that moment on, I've been a disciple of Wim Hof. So I'm a big practitioner of, breathing exercises, cold showers, cold exposure. I hike with like no shirt on, wearing shorts, shovel my driveway, snow blow, wearing shorts and no shirt, or t-shirt that is like, like in the, like single digits or something like that, so I started doing this cold exposure stuff 3 years ago. And now here I'm intermittent fasting, been able to maintain my weight for 3 years. And I had also just about in November, prior to that, so just about 2 or 3 months before that, listened to the Dr. Dom D'Anastigos, like the godfather of the keto is what he's being called now. Even though that should be Dr. Stephen Finney, because Dr. Stephen Finney tried to prove Dr. Atkins wrong 40 years ago and actually proved himself wrong. And now it's like, and he and Jeff Volk have written like the art and science of low carb living, the art and science of low carb, like athletes and things like that. And those guys really, Dr. Stephen Finney, if you look up any of his YouTubes on video, will really explain like a well-formulated ketogenic diet versus like what you're seeing now, because there's people who are going like carnivore keto and clean keto, dirty keto, all these different things.
Right.
But if you look at somebody who's really like studied the history of it, it can help you with like what a well-formulated ketogenic diet is and what modified, nutrients are, what people call macronutrients, fat, carbs, and proteins are, and how that works. So I really look to like more like even Finney than I do to what I see on Instagram and those things these days. But my point being is that I started doing cold exposure, and as you can, like if you think of people who live in cold environments, they eat heavy fat diets. I'm going to get some lunch one day, and I'm standing at the pantry line at the restaurant, and I'm like, normally get a salad, and I'm like, I really don't want a salad. I mean, that salmon's looking really good over there. And then I realized standing right there, I said, I'm craving fat. So I need to eat fat because I'm craving it, because I'm exposing myself to cold, so I'm burning more calories.
Right.
And then I said, and I'm like, well, no matter if this is like wild caught or sustainably farmed salmon, if I eat that and I put like whatever sauce on it that I want to eat, avocado, all these, but I still eat sugar, no matter how clean my ingredients are, I'm still mimicking the nutrient mix of the standard American diet, and I'm going to gain weight. And my first rule is, because I've been fat twice, is don't get fat. Don't be fat.
Right.
So I immediately knew right there, standing right there in that kitchen, that I had to try ketogenic and like legitimately like really, really do it. Right.
Right.
Not just for 2 weeks, not just to like cut out bread for 2 weeks or not go gluten free. I really had to do it. And I'll be honest with you, it's been one of the most high performance things I've ever done for myself. I absolutely love keto. And it helps me fast easier because your body will go, if you're not going to feed me, I'll just start taking fat. I'll start taking fuel from your body. And so I'm not hungry anymore. I can fast for 3 days if I want to. I can fast until whatever I can do. It gives me more flexibility to be able to eat when I want to, eat what I want to. And of course I'm not eating breads and all these other things, it's like,
right.
But I can eat as much as I want to. And then I can fast again the next day and I'm fine. And
right.
it absolutely works. And so that's pretty much where I'm at right now. It's like I'm, with diet wise, right, is I'm intermittent fasting, ketogenic, really strict keto. There's been times that I've tested things over the last 3 years where I haven't been keto. I tested Tim Ferriss's slow carb diet and had cheat days, but I'm everything's black and white. Keto, I'm not. I'm not gonna okay, I'm keto for 6 days and then I'm gonna have a quesadilla or pizza or some sort of French toast with maple syrup.
Right.
That's not keto. That's not keto. Keto's a freaking lifestyle. And that's the way I see it. And so but here's the thing. It may not work for everybody. I'm not sitting here saying anybody has to do what I do.
Right. Of course.
This is N equals 1. This is an experiment 1. You're vegetarian, and that works for you. Then just run it.
Exactly.
That's what I say. Run it. Don't do what I do. I'm just telling you what I do.
I have to ask you a question because I was listening to everything you're saying, and the thing of it is that I feel like I've went through a lot of the same tests on myself. So I gotta share this with you. I have to share this with you. So for about 2 months, it's actually a month, strictly starting last month. All right, I have been intermittent fasting. Okay, I started out the month prior to that, doing it where I was only not eating breakfast. And the only reason I started was because the fact of every time I go to do my morning workouts, I would get cramps, in my stomach. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to drink some water, and then I'll go out and I'll work out and I'll be fine. And after that workout, I'll eat. Well, I'm a big believer in doing what your spirit tells you to do. When I often call that voice from the creator the divine Wi-Fi, but that's just how I clarify it. So I decided, I said, you know what? This one particular day, instead of just getting some food after the workout, that I was going to just not eat until dinner time. And I did that a whole month. And I PR'd in my bench press. Now, for me, I've been bench pressing for a long time, and I've never, ever hit the numbers that I've hit now. I actually hit 310 pounds bench press, clean. All right?
Impressive.
Doing flat out 1 meal a day for a month.
Yep.
And I tested it. I had to because I had to test it because I was doing this program, and like I said, the month before, it was kind of like, I'm just not eating breakfast. Excuse me, but something was like, you have to test this theory. You have to test it and see what takes place. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And the freedom that has come about from that is amazing. Now, just like you're saying, now I'm vegan. Everything is different for everybody. It's individualistic. But the other thing that I can identify with what you're doing is the cold exposure. So every time I train, after that, I always take a very cold, no heat, just straight out cold. All right, like I've experimented with this for like 2 to 3 years, every day, just straight, no heat, no nothing. All right, and I've been noticing also the change in my body as well as that, and it's fascinating how these things affect your body and help you, one, boost your immune system, all right? But the other thing about it is the fact of what I'm coming to, and I'm going to quickly ask you this. The other thing about it is how you quickly start to break down the wall of what you're told to do versus not to do, which is what I'm want to get to for you. How is that? Because we're told all the time, oh, this is the diet. This is what you're supposed to do. Oh, you want to gain muscle? Do this. How did it feel to you once, and what you've done with yourself and your family, discovering that it's not all that we've been taught it is in conventional society?
Well, first of all, let me say amen, brother. I mean, you're right there. We're doing the same things, but and we didn't even, that's not why we're doing this podcast. But
right,
yeah, I totally get it. Totally get where you're at, and what you're doing is impressive. So let me tell you, it's a wild thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only do we get what society says to us, like, you got to put your coat on when you go outside.
Right.
Or don't go outside with your hair wet because you're going to get sick.
Right.
Or grandma always said, don't go outside, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. It's all these don'ts.
Right.
One of the reasons when I started doing Wim Hof, I was like, you know what? At the time, my son's 13 and my daughter was about 8 at the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this just to show them that anything's freaking possible.
Exactly.
Right? Right.
Exactly.
Now, here's the thing. 98% of us need a Roger Bannister. You know who Roger Bannister is, the 4-minute mile guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the first person at the time, and this story's been told over and over again. At the time, the prevailing thought was if anybody ran a mile in less than 4 minutes, the human heart would explode. Okay?
I remember that. I remember
right?
hearing that.
Right. So he did it, and in the next year, 32 other people did it. Right?
Right.
So you know who 98% of us, including me, needed? Was Wim freaking Hof.
Right.
We needed him to go to Everest at 17,000 feet in shorts, no shirt, and crampons. We needed him to do that Kilimanjaro. We need him to sit in an ice bath for an hour and 53 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We need him to do that to show him that we can start a shower a little bit at warm and then go cold, and we can go, we're not going to freaking die.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And if it's snowing outside and you're 7,000 feet, that you can wear the same clothes that you wear during the summer, and you're not going to die between the front door of the house to the car.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
So, and I'll get to the answer to your question about how
Take your time.
all those things, right? But I'm up on the soapbox right now. But let me. So here's the thing, right? Not only did we need permission from Wim Hof or Roger Bannister, but we need permission to skip a meal, because we've been told our whole life by everybody that breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
That's right.
So let me ask you this: why does now I'm in the food business. I have this question: why is the only meat you can have for breakfast pork? You can have ham, bacon, sausage, and they're all pork.
That one I can't answer. That one.
Well, I can answer it for you. The Pork Association did marketing, and they have programmed us that when you have breakfast, that you have to have protein, and it has to be pork. And breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It's all about making money. It's not about anybody being healthy.
Hey, listen. I have to. What did you say? You on your soapbox? Preached.
So here's the thing. So how do I feel about this? I'm working breakfast, okay? And I see people come in and they're freaking out because it takes more than 7 minutes to get pancakes.
Right.
And I'm like going, I haven't eaten since 7 o'clock last night, and I'm not planning on eating until 4 o'clock today. I'm like, it's like I'm looking at it, and I'm like going, okay, I understand where you're at. You want your pancakes. Let me go check and see where they are. And I go do that. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, all you need is a little bit of understanding about you do not have to have pancakes delivered in the first 6 minutes that you sit down with the maple syrup. But he's a carb burner, reliant and addicted to carbs, and I understand why he's where he is.
Right.
I understand, the physiology of where he is, and mentally where he is because he has to eat, because if he doesn't, he's going to crash. I understand that on that level, and I have empathy for that, and I respect that. And as a professional, I'm going to do everything I can to make that customer happy. Right. But I also understand that there's another whole side of this that can make him feel like freaking Superman, but he's not willing to go there.
Exactly.
Right? He's not willing to go there. Okay. So I was hiking the other day on my day off. I went on this hike. It's 33 degrees. I've been doing this, cold exposure for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going, no shirt on, and I'm hiking, and I walk past this family, and they all in full freaking ski gear, right? And you should have heard the comments, right?
Right.
So the thing is that people, and literally people stop me, and they're like, "What are you doing? Are you okay? Or you're trying to show off?" I'm like, "No, this is what I do." But you should look up this guy named Wim Hof, and so this is who I follow. I have his app. Here's his app on the phone. I'm explaining to people, and so I'm kind of like a disciple, kind of bringing people into it. But I look at how mentally limited people are because they're not willing to take a step, or it's not even aware to them, or they have no inclination to even try. Right. So I have empathy for people, and because I understand where they're at, but I also would love to expose people to this, so they can feel better, and that's why I'm here. I'll be honest with you, that's why I'm here. To do it.
Oh man, listen, this. I'm laughing because I could just see their faces as you're walking by them, and I know because I know what's in their head. And the reason I know it is just because the same. I just talked to one of my mentors because, and I had to call him. Like the minute I PR'd in the bench press, I was just sitting there and I was looking at all these guys, and when I say this to all the listeners out there, we're not bragging. This is not about bragging. This is not about, oh, our diet's better or this is that. It's not that. It's the fact of when you start to see that what you have been told is not the absolute quote unquote gospel. Now there is always an exception to every rule. Everybody is individuals, but the fact of it is that just like you're walking past that family and they're looking at you, and I know it was in their mind like, this guy, he's probably, come back over here, sweetie. It's just like you're doing that. I'm looking at guys who are in the gym working out, and I see the shakes. You know what I mean? I see the shakes with the protein and this and the that, and I'm like, just like you, I'm like, now, I haven't eaten since 12 o'clock, and I won't eat till 6. I've just been drinking water. I'll have maybe 1 cup of coffee. 1. You know what I mean? If I felt like it that day. So, and I'm looking at them, I'm like, wow, I'm looking at these guys, and I'm like, they have no idea that I haven't eaten. They have no idea that I'm not going to eat after this. And you're right. It's this, how do I put it? It's this, it's almost like the Matrix.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, okay. So now I can build muscle without actually I don't have to break the bank. Really? Wow, it's an amazing lifestyle.
It is, and it's free.
Exactly.
Free.
It is very freeing, and that's the word we're trying to find.
It's free.
Yes.
Because now you're like, oh, I'm not. It's almost like the whole thing is like, how there's that person, and it's like, maybe people listen to this, it's like, it's like that person, that friend of yours is just like, that dude knows down deep that the rules don't apply to him.
Right.
And that's the way you feel. You're like, all of a sudden, like, all these rules I've been told. Right? You're supposed to put a meal of the day. Right? You got to have carbs. Right? Don't eat too much fat. Just, all these different things. Or like, okay, if that's not real, if that's not the rules, then what about everything else?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
so here's the thing, right? I told you I was a food and beverage director at a hospital, and so I'm sitting down talking to one of my dietitians. She's like a PhD dietitian, been doing this for like 35 years at the time.
Right.
And this is when I'm starting on the intermittent fasting thing. And so, and my workout program at the time had migrated from the P90X to these very short 20-minute calisthenic workouts based off what this book called Convict Conditioning.
Oh,
So
I have that book.
Yeah.
I have that book.
Love, and so I'm a big push-up guy. Still working on my progressions for pistol squats and things like that.
Right.
You know, and those things. But my son can do one-arm push-ups. I can't got there yet. My son's 16 and he can crank out like 5 on each side. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. But anyway, back. So I'm doing this, and I'm like, so here I am. I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm doing the convict conditioning, like these 20-minute workouts. I'm walking to the bus. I'm riding a 45-minute bus from Park City to Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking a mile to get there. I have a stand-up desk. Now, stand-up desk equals 7 pounds of weight loss for me, just by changing that. And I asked Dion, it's like, you know what? I work out in the morning. I have a cup of coffee. I have a banana. I'm not keto. I have a banana. Right? Because I'm under eating. It's 100 calories, 25 grams of carbs. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm building muscle. I'm getting stronger. I'm losing weight. I'm doing all these things. But I'm not doing like this traditional like protein shake or having protein during the day or any of those things. So I'm like, this is not computing because this is different from what I've been told.
Right.
And she was eating lunch at the time, right? And she came back an hour later, and I wish I could find this. It's probably on PubMed somewhere. It's got to be on PubMed somewhere. With a study, there was this doctor that did a study about how people can continue to grow muscle, right?
Right.
And they don't have to do these post-workout protein drinks or any meals or anything.
Right.
Just the fact that you did a workout and the fact that at some point that day you're going to have some protein was enough.
Right.
Yes. And that was another one. It was like totally blew up this myth that I got to have a pre-workout meal and a pre-workout shake and all these different things. And you know what it told me is this, okay?
Right.
Is that how I perform today is based off what I ate yesterday.
Yes. Very true.
So, and this, right? So I'm in the food and beverage industry, right? So I equated it to this, okay? Today I'm hungover because I drank too much yesterday.
Right.
Okay? Today I feel like crap because I ate like crap yesterday.
Exactly.
Okay? So the thing is, I got into a place where I didn't want to break the freaking momentum.
I understand what you're saying.
The gauge on how I feel is how I feel when I wake up in the morning. And if I feel great today, I'm going to try to repeat what I did yesterday.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And that's the feedback loop on this self-testing guinea pig N=1 thing is like, how do you feel in the morning when you wake up?
Yep.
Right? Right? And how do you perform during the day? And if you're able to repeat that again and you find a repeatable formula that fits who you are.
Exactly.
Right? Then you found something that works and you keep doing what works this is when Bruce Lee comes in. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Lee, huge martial arts guy, right?
Yep.
So absorb everything. Keep what is useful. Discard what is not. And uniquely add what is your own.
That's true. Oh man. Scott. Scott, we gotta we gotta cut the interview short. Not short. We gotta cut the interview because we're getting ready to go over the time. Actually, we've gone over the time.
All right.
This conversation. All right, and I know for everybody listening in, all right, I know they're probably gonna be like, wow, you know what I mean? I by far enjoyed this conversation. This right here was, and I knew this was going to take place as soon as I saw your bio. All right, please. First of all, see, I'm almost not in host mode right now. I'm almost sitting down in front of you at the couch. So
well, we're having that black cup of coffee.
That's right.
You know? That's what we're doing, right?
Man.
I know you want to cut it, but I had mentioned it about what I think macronutrients are.
Right.
I'd love to just be able to tell you what that is. Okay. That's okay.
Well, listen, this is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do because I want you to share your social media information. I want you to also share where people can contact you. But the other thing of it is I want you to come back on the show. So this is what we're going to do. All right. That'll be our topic for next time you're on the show. All right. Because you're coming back. You can't leave. You're coming back. All right. If I have to fly all the way over there and sit in front of you, we're going to have the rest of this conversation. So please share your information where people can contact you. All right. Your email, social media. Please share it all.
Okay. Well, I'm really on one place on social media. Is all I am right now. I'm on Instagram, and it's at Straight Cabbage. So StraightCabbage. My name is Scott Stanfield. And my email address is straightcabbage@gmail.com. So
I think you're on LinkedIn too, right? You're on LinkedIn too, right?
I'm on LinkedIn, LinkedIn, Scott R. Stanfield, middle initial R. And so that's where I'm at as well. That's more like my professional side of things, like, where like in terms of like what I'm putting out about like, for leadership, restaurant leadership, things like that.
Okay. So Scott, this is what we're going to do for everybody listening. We're going to bring Scott back. All right. This is a guarantee. Right? So, all right. But, for the time's sake that we have, I have to cut the interview. But it has been a pleasure. It has been a pleasure to talk to you, man. Listen, I knew it was going to be this way, too. As soon as I read your bio, I was like, see, this is going to be a good one. So thank you for coming, man. I appreciate you. All right. And we're going to talk as to when we can get you back here.
Sounds amazing. I can't wait to do it. And like I said, I can't thank you enough for having me on today.
You're listening to the Della Fit Podcast. Della Fit Podcast. 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health, all in one podcast.
So I just want to say to everybody, I had a great time talking to Scott. It's always awesome when you have a kindred spirit, somebody that you can communicate with and share like-minded ideals about pushing the envelopes of what your body is capable of doing. With that being said, I also want to preface and make a specific note to anybody listening, whether you are a fully grown man or woman, or you are an adolescent. I would say to you, talk to your physician before you attempt any of the things that we have discussed today. I would also say, do research. Do a tremendous amount of research. Research is your friend. Google, talk to people, talk to professionals, talk to holistic doctors, holistic counselors, talk to PhDs, talk to people. Scott and I know, or I'll say this, I know myself, I do a tremendous amount of research when it comes to physical health, physical training, and a lot of things. I didn't just jump into intermittent fasting. I didn't just jump into how my training style is now. I didn't just jump into anything. Everything comes with time and a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of reassessing what is for your body and what is not for your body. And the same thing I could say directly, as you heard during this podcast, Scott talked about where he used to be, how he used to, he was borderline vegan and all the things. Different things work for different individuals. We are individuals. That's the key word. We are individuals. I think I pronounced that incorrectly, but you all get the point. All right, so I am prefacing this for anybody listening. Do the research. Research. Talk to the professionals. Talk to people that can give you the information, the facts. And question. Send us emails if you have questions. You can send it at I always do this, guys. Don't laugh at me. You can send it to delafit13@gmail.com. Also, you can contact us on our website, which is www.delafitpodcast.com. Right in the contact section, send us information. We are on Instagram at day_la_fit podcast. We are also on Facebook at De La Fit Podcast. And to go back to what I was saying, yes, this was an amazing podcast. I truly enjoyed it. I do want to apologize to Scott because this episode was supposed to come out yesterday. For all of you listening to this, we pre-record our episodes. It was supposed to come out yesterday on Friday, February the 1st. We had some technical audio issues dealing with Google and our drive. And just, hey, look, we had to work through it, and sometimes, technology can be such a help, and sometimes it can be a major hindrance, but we got through it, and I wanted to just send that out to Scott and apologize to him because he's such a great guy, and he's a busy individual as well, so I wanted to make sure that definitely he hears this, and everybody to listening, it was great. And we're going to have him back on. There's going to be a bonus episode of this, so it's going to be great. But like I said, amazing show, feeling great, feeling energetic, and I hope you all will tune in and join us again here at the De La Fit Podcast. Remember, fitness is not just what you do in the gym. It's not just what you eat. It is 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health. It is everything that you do in your life. It's how you live. It's how you love. It's how you grow. It's what you're reading. It's what you're not reading. It's what you're drinking. It's what you're not drinking. It's how you're breathing. It's how you're not breathing. It's how you're making love, and it's how you're understanding and interpreting love. It's how you're lifting that weight and how you're controlling that weight. Are you muscling it up, or are you moving the weight? It's the muscle, like my mentor used to tell me, are you moving the weight, or is the weight moving you? Well, that is what 360 degrees of holistic fitness and health is all about. Are you moving the weight, or is the weight of life moving you? People, thank you for tuning in to the De La Fit Podcast. I hope you will all tune in again. We love you. As we always say, we are the digital family. And the reason we say that, because each one teach one, and it takes a village. We are all somebody's child, which makes us all brothers and sisters. Seriously, it takes a village. I hope everybody will have a happy, healthy, safe weekend. Peace.
You've been listening to the De La Fit Podcast. Ta-ta for now.